The young white man, you are truly alone. All the young white guys need to team up because it is us against the world. Everyone hates us.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, sir, but as a minority against identity politics, I don't hate you, and there are many people who are against anti-white hate, whether white or non-white.
You guys need to wake up to that fact. We need to become racist and we need to take charge.
Wait, what? Well, Nick Fuentes and the Groypers have been getting more popular non-stop with almost each interview he does or controversy he is in, unless it involves a recent party bus.
I want to show you a video from inside of Vindom on Thursday. It shows a group of controversial YouTubers partying to an anti-Semitic song praising Hitler created by rapper Kanye West.
And considering his ideas, I doubt it would be good for America or other Western countries for his ideas to be mainstreamed. His ideas include racial nationalism, limiting freedoms, and thinking the world is controlled by the Jews. But despite this, he has a few ideas I agree with, such as rejecting the casual tenets of the sexual revolution and protecting the sanctity of marriage. And the best way to protect the institution of marriage is to treat the act of sex with respect. To only have sexual intercourse with someone who you will share the rest of your life with, cherish, and have kids with. To only have sex with someone who you are married to. In other words, save yourself before marriage. You see, there are actual reasons to save yourself before marriage. Sex is a bonding activity, and if you sleep with someone who is not right for you, you will be bonded to the wrong person. After all, you get closer to a person during sexual activity. As a consequence, sex can mask problems in a relationship. If you stop having sex, you can properly evaluate whether you truly love the person, and whether they are the right person for you. Another reason is that people in previous sexual relationships will compare previous partners with their current spouse/partner. Maybe in previous relationships the sex was better. Much better. But your current sex with your spouse isn't so great in comparison. And that causes sex to be much less enjoyable. This causes relationships and marriages to break down, since sex is a pretty important part in keeping a marriage alive. This can be arguably worsened in the case of women, since I have heard that they can be hypergamous. If they hook up with a high status man like say a millionaire or a famous sports player, they will start comparing all the men they date and sleep with afterwards to the high status man who left them after a one night stand. They subconsciously won't be able to accept someone of a lower status. That last one is a theory of mine and many others, since I haven't looked that much into hypergamy. Anyway, there is some empirical evidence for this. One study used a 1995 National Survey of Family Growth dataset, which contained information such as whether a woman cohabitated or had sex with a husband or someone else before she was married, and controlled for race, religion, parents, education, and childhood to analyze this question. They defined marital disruption as the date of divorce or date of separation. A limitation of this study is that it doesn't have the premarital histories of husbands other than whether they were married before, so they could only compare the premarital behavior of women and whether it affected marital disruption. Regardless, for one model with premarital sex, only women whose first sex with someone other than the husband led to a 114% higher chance of marital disruption. For another model with premarital cohabitation, only women whose first sex with someone other than the husband led to a 108% higher chance of marital disruption instead. This means women who first slept with someone other than the husband were 108% to 114% more likely to be divorced or separated, depending on the model. There's only a higher rate of divorce for men other than their husbands. This is probably because it is really hard to find the right partner, and not having sex before marriage is a screening process for the right partner before being married. I guess you could say that the women who didn't have their marriages hurt because they only slept with their husband means that they most likely got lucky in finding the right partner for them. It's when you sleep with someone who's wrong for you, and then that relationship doesn't work, that increases the chance of your future marriage breaking down. I am working on looking into more up-to-date research based on premarital sex that properly includes husbands. But for now, I think this sufficiently illustrates my point. Anyways, back to Nick Fuentes and his Groyper movement. He's clearly been competent at what he does, whether you like him or not, but there are flaws in his movement. Particularly two flaws: Lilly Gaddis and women propaganda. No, I didn't sneeze or cough. There's actually a dude called women propaganda. and I think you can guess from his name what he thinks about women. He is a guy we just saw calling for young white men to be racist, so the usual Groyper stuff. But I have often seen him as trying to be someone more aggressive and macho, trying to emulate power rather than observing restraint and controlling your strength. Which is why it was surprising when this happened.
You invited him to your fucking club! You gave him a ticket to your fucking club! Okay, let's get the fuck out of here.
10 seconds later.
I just got punched in the face by this. Oh, hi. Oh, really, Nick? I got punched in the face by this guy. Well, this Jewish guy was yelling, everyone's a Nazi, and then I told him to go back to Israel. And then this other guy just slapped me across. Kevin Smith just slapped me across.
TikTok. Will, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. What's going on? Good to meet you.
Are you okay?
Now, I don't think the validity of his arguments are automatically debunked because he got slapped once. But I at least get the impression that he tries to be an abrasive and rude masculine guy that embraces power. But we got none of that from the slap. Granted, I don't usually watch his content, so maybe I'm wrong. It seemed like he didn't initiate the incident physically from what I have seen, so would probably have the right to call the police or something. I have no right to judge since I really need to hit the gym.
But yeah, I like woman propaganda, but man, that was embarrassing. You got to be able to defend yourself if you make that type of content. In my opinion, a lot of these guys who are big on the internet get weak when it comes to real life confrontation.
And besides, personal insults like calling him a weak soy boy based on the slapping incident means nothing, unless those insults are somehow relevant to their ideas and arguments. Which brings us to Lilly Gaddis.
And by the way, don't buy into this propaganda that all white girls are just whores. Let's go to fucking Colombia and get a cheap hooker.
Yeah.
This passport bro bullshit, that's Jewish as fuck. That's a Jewish psyop to make you have mongrel babies.
You serious?
And you may be asking, where did all of that come from? Well, let me show you the title of this video. Are young white men obligated to marry a ran-through white woman? Well, that's a title. Now let's play that clip again, given this new context.
And by the way, don't buy into this propaganda that all white girls are just whores. Let's go to fucking Colombia and get a cheap hooker.
Yeah.
This passport bro bullshit, that's Jewish as fuck. That's a Jewish psyop to make you have mongrel babies.
Jewish psyop? Everything I disagree with is a Jewish psyop. Well, as a Christian, I agree you shouldn't sleep with any hookers of any race, and that not all white girls are whores. Well, except for maybe you, Miss Lilly Gaddis. Oh, didn't you know? It turns out Lilly Gaddis has a child out of wedlock, and is a single mother. Very conservative.
So how did you become a single mom? Were you married in the past, or are you married now? What is your circumstance?
Right. Well, it was just one of those things, you know, it's a bad relationship gone awry, unfortunately. We're not together, so I am, you know, single. I've never been married, but it's just one of those things, you know, people make mistakes, and you start out in life like wanting to, I want to wait till marriage and whatever, and then life happens and it just doesn't work out, you know?
What do you mean stuff happens, Lily? When in a relationship, in order to be celibate, you just say no to sex to your partner before being married. Sexual activity before being married isn't an essential thing. Did your partner rape you and then you had the baby? I don't think so, cause even you blame yourself for the pregnancy, and I haven't heard anything about you being raped by your partner. If your partner didn't want to be celibate, then you should have either convinced him to wait or leave him. You were like 23 at the time, and are conventionally attractive. You clearly would have had options other than him, and had enough time. Even with that solid straight masculine jawline. I get there are temptations and life happens, but real Christian conservatives say no to sex before marriage. It isn't easy to be celibate, but doing the right thing when it matters is almost never easy. If you didn't sleep with each other when the relationship failed, you wouldn't have had to raise a baby in that situation, or being sexually bonded to a person who wasn't right for you. But I guess she makes an interesting point in response.
But I think I don't appeal to people who really have all their stuff together, but I do appeal to middle America who, you know, they aren't perfect. They have made mistakes and they're trying to do the best they can. Because bottom line, I mean, even as a Christian, it's like, we're not perfect. We're never going to be perfect. That's why God had to come down and die on the cross for us, ultimately. So I think I can be as a good funnel for just your normal middle America to get into conservatism, because I'm an easier person to relate with just because I'm not perfect, and I have had stuff go wrong. And I can even be a voice for women who, they do get pregnant and don't choose abortion. Like, I had lots of people telling me, oh my gosh, just get an abortion, don't tell anybody else, and that's an easy way out. But I think I'm happy that the way things have turned out the way they are. It's not perfect, obviously, but I think I can appeal to a lot more people that way, just because it's easy to relate to someone who hasn't had everything go right. So
I think it's great that she decided to keep her baby. But if you want grace, then you should be expected to give grace back. You seemed pretty judgmental towards Jews right now, yet you want grace for fornicating and being a single mother. And it's interesting you say Jewish psyop, because you have been constantly accused of being Jewish by Groypers. Maybe you're the Jewish psyop, Lily Coleman.
If you're non-white, if I was non-white and I wasn't in this battle like I am, if I was a black dude, I would be a passport bro.
Yeah.
For non-whites, I get it. Because you can go to a third world country and get a much hotter girl. You just can't. As an American with like more money, you can pull something way better in a third world country. But she's gonna be brown.
And you're a single mom.
But if you're a black dude or if you're a brown dude, that's fine. If I was non-white, I think I would be a passport bro. But if you're white, we're gonna have to wife up these hoes. You're gonna have to suck it up and wife up one of these American white girls, and but it'll be okay. Because
your race matters that much. Like, your race in 10 generations, your line will have continued. And nobody will care that your great-great-grandmother was a hoe, because you exist and you're more white people. The white race must be preserved at all costs.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. Well, first, I don't think just marrying them hoes will benefit future generations, and will actually perpetuate a lot of the broken families, marriages, and sexual degeneracy currently prevalent in Western culture. I mean, as I said before, women who first slept with someone other than their husband were 108% to 114% more likely to be divorced or separated. Marrying these promiscuous women will increase the chance of these marriages failing, leading to more divorces, separations, broken families, and children with an unstable upbringing. This will further perpetuate the cycle of degeneracy throughout the generations, since we all know the problems with single-parent homes. What is the point of, quote-unquote, preserving your race when the cycle of degeneracy and broken families can last for generations? In that case, your great-great-grandmother being a hoe kind of matters. Of course, you can always end the cycle in one generation, but the point of making the right decisions and bring up stable families is so that your children have a better life and that they have an easier time in raising stable families that benefit society. You can still preserve your white genes if you marry a non-white person, because you are passing your Caucasian genes to your child. That isn't destroying the white race. If you actually believe this, then by that logic, Anglo-Saxons intermarrying with French Normans in England after 1066 would be diluting their English genes and their heritage. Tell me, Lily, why would you discourage white people from marrying non-white people, but you do not discourage English people from marrying French or Italian people to preserve their English genes and ethnicity? Moreover, responding to women propaganda's point, if I were black, white, or any other race, I would not be a passport bro because I'm a Christian conservative, something that both of these Groypers seem to have forgotten about. You shouldn't be a passport bro of any race to just sleep around with a woman for sexual pleasure, but if you generally want a wife who is traditional and more likely to be a virgin, then the third world may be a great way to meet them. I mean, people in developing countries have less sex partners than developed countries, with countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, and India having much higher average ages to lose their virginity than countries like New Zealand, Austria, United Kingdom, Australia, and Germany. Granted, developing countries do have higher rates of STI, and some of the countries I mentioned aren't Christian, but there are developing countries with a huge Christian population that have lower rates of promiscuity. I also assume these developing countries have higher rates of STI because they don't have good medical treatments and condoms like developed countries in escaping the physical consequences of promiscuous sex. But no matter how good the medical treatments are, you cannot escape the emotional and mental consequences.
And that's your guy?
Overall, Western women have a higher body count. Now personally, I don't think you need to find a non-Western or non-white woman to marry. If you have a preference for Western or white girls, go right ahead. But it isn't wrong to go for traditional non-white women in non-Western countries, especially when a lot of women in the West, white or not, are promiscuous. Hookup culture have destroyed a generation of women and men. I'm not saying you should never date or marry a woman with a sexual past. After all, people can change, especially through Christ. We have all sinned. But saying that young white men should rather marry promiscuous women rather than traditional virgin women from foreign countries because they are not white is beyond foolish. It is detrimental. I know you guys idolize race over reality and sexual ethics, but that isn't the ideology of the God of the Bible. As when you are a follower of God, there is neither Jew nor Gentile in Christ. Now, I know they talk about the lack of virginity in modern women, and I will touch on that later in the video. Anyways, if you've enjoyed that video so far, please give a like and comment to boost this video in the algorithm. Preferably comment Lilly Gaddis is a whore, or Groyper whore, or Red Pill whore, or Nick Fuentes is gay, or anything else. It's your choice.
And by the way, girls become hoes when they don't have a guy putting them in line. So if like most girls will take on the mindset of the guy that they're dating. So if you're conservative, I'm not saying go out and get some radical, insane liberal, like that's beyond the pale, but most girls will kind of meld into who you are, and if you just put them in their place, it'll be fine. And you gotta do it for the race.
You got it. We're gonna have...
I'm sorry, this is probably one of the dumbest takes you have ever had. You guys complain about modern women not taking responsibility. But you are taking away responsibility from women in attempting to be traditional virgin women and avoid being whores. A woman that is worth her salt will stay pure regardless of the type of husband she marries. Maybe a man can change the nature of a promiscuous woman, but blaming sluttiness on men who are not assertive enough is a very anti-man take and typical feminist modern 304 behavior. Isn't that right, Myron Gaines? You take away accountability from slutty women. And that makes sense, considering you are one of those women who don't take accountability for what you have said in the past.
So all those nerds in high school, like the weird theater kids and the anime people and you know who I'm talking about, the people we didn't hang out with. So they've grown up now, and they're the ones making the laws. They're the Mark Zuckerbergs. They're the Faucis of the world, the fucking nerds. Those fucking dorks that never got laid in high school, and they got a major chip on their shoulder against the normie.
As you can see from here, she's complaining about Anthony Fauci types from the COVID era being controlling losers and nerds. She claims that due to being socially ostracized in high school, they have a chip on their shoulder, so grow up to be controlling to compensate for this. I get this argument, but I feel it is unfair to paint all or most losers and nerds in high school as people who will grow up to want to control what other people do. But she made a rather interesting critique of these people during their time in high school.
Those fucking dorks that never got laid in high school, and they got a major chip on their shoulder against the normie.
They didn't get laid in high school, Lily? Well, if so, why is that a negative thing? Why is not having sex till marriage considered something to be mocked to you if you are also a conservative, Lily?
I know. I said it in a very crass way. But there is a general point behind everything I said, like the loser thing. Everybody was coming for me for the getting laid in high school, and I'm not promoting sleeping around, okay? But I will say it's a general principle that there are certain people that don't get what they see the top people getting, and they do get a chip on their shoulder, and that chip on their shoulder does carry into adulthood. Like, you do see that. You know, the way that you were raised or whatever, how you were developed when you were younger, it does carry over into adult life. And you do notice patterns, and you do start to see that. You're like, wow, the weird people in high school, this isn't to say that they were, dumb. They're usually very smart people. And now they are the Bill Gates. Now they are the Zuckerbergs, and they're the people telling us what to say and what to think. And that's a problem.
Sure, you are crass and unfeminine as always, Lily. Maybe Lilly Gaddis is a black trans woman. That's your line. Sure, you are crass and unfeminine as always, Lily. But being crass would be that you said your argument but in a very vulgar way. You weren't criticized for vulgarity here, or at least not just for that, but for considering having sex in high school as a good thing, when the vast majority of high schoolers aren't married, indicating that you support the idea of sex before marriage, a very un-Christian idea. Now, you said you don't encourage sleeping around. Well, in that case, why did you mock people not having sex in high school, considering high schoolers don't usually get married? Did you misspeak in that video? Do you believe that people not having sex with other people they aren't married to should be mocked? And even if not, you had a kid out of wedlock, and are now pushing men, along with women propaganda, to sleep around with multiple women to apparently handle the woman that they will marry. You complain about Jewish psyops, perpetuating sexual degeneracy. But maybe you are the Jewish psyop, since your past indicates that you have a potentially higher body count than Israel.
Pow!
Okay, that last part was a little hyperbolic since she probably had like less than 10 sexual partners at best, and I don't think she has any other baby daddies. But she's still a single mom.
Well, and again, and circling back, this is why I disagree with these pastors telling all these young men to wait till they're married, because none of the girls are virgins. Being a virgin man marrying a non-virgin woman is a terrible idea. You have no idea what you're getting. She's going to be able to just totally control you. You have no idea what you're getting into. So I do not, in America in 2025, I do not recommend waiting till marriage. As a man, if you're a woman, try and stay pure. But as a man, you know, none of the girls in this country are virgins. You're not going to find a virgin wife. So if she's going to be ran through, you need to be ran through as well. Ran through. Men aren't run through. Men do the running through. But yeah, go rack up a body count and then get yourself one of these ran through white women. I'm sorry, we have no choice. This is the situation. And then hopefully our children can grow up in a country that's not totally fucked up.
Well, when looking at the virginity and sexual activity data and breaking it down by gender, there are some rather intriguing conclusions that can actually be made. A study conducted by a national survey of family growth shown that from ages 22 to 34, the proportion of male virgins gone from 4% in 2013 to 2015 to 10% in 2022 to 2023. And the proportion of female virgins gone from 5% in 2013 to 2015 to 7% in 2022 to 2023. So the virginity rates seem pretty low for both genders, even if men are more likely to be virgins. But there's something else, and that has to do with the lack of sex. Sexlessness is defined as not having sex in the last year. And we can see that sexlessness rose from 9% of men in 2013 to 2015 to 24% in 2022 to 2023. And sexlessness rose from 8% of women in 2013 to 2015 to 13% in 2022 to 2023. The proportion of men who didn't have sex for 3 months rose from 20% in 2013 to 2015 to 35% in 2022 to 2023. And the proportion of women who didn't have sex for 3 months rose from 21% in 2013 to 2015 to 31% in 2022 to 2023. So back in 2013 to 2015, men and women didn't have sex for some time at similar rates. But from 2022 to 2023, men were almost twice as likely as women to have not had sex for over a year. And this can in part explain the rapid rise in the popularity of red pill content in recent years. So it appears that women are having much more promiscuous and irresponsible sex than men based on the data. But men aren't exactly innocent here. 90% of men aren't virgins, just like 93% of women aren't virgins. And 76% of these men still had sex in the last year. Women propaganda is right that most women aren't virgins, but so are men. A lot of men are already ran through. This is modern hookup culture. Even if you think it is good for a man to sleep around but not a woman, whenever a man sleeps with more women, there are less virgin women for the rest of the men. There are more women who will have more sexual baggage that will increase divorce rates. Also, where is the evidence that virgin men will be manipulated by non-virgin women? And that to avoid this you need to be a man whore.
You gave him a ticket.
Still, I understand pickings among the marriageability of both modern men and women aren't great, considering so few people are virgins before marriage. But that doesn't mean we should give in to our dark desires and sleep with others, demeaning each other. Maybe we can't save this generation, but we can save the next generation and future generations. We can teach them to be better, to wait till marriage, and to treat each other with respect. But that will only work if we stop encouraging either men and women to sleep with each other and make the situation worse. With all of that done, I think we can all fairly ascertain the internet was a mistake.
Dorks that never got laid in high school.
Having promiscuous sex in high school? Based? No.
Am I right, boys?
Anyways, thanks for watching guys. I really had fun making this video, and I would be extremely grateful if you could like and comment below to boost my video in the algorithm. I do have some plans for the future of this channel, but as always I'm pretty disorganized and I take too long to pump out content. Still, I'm looking into new topics as well as revisiting old ones. I might talk about Trump's recent comment on house prices, do much more in-depth research on wealth taxes, or maybe go even deeper into premarital sex and how that affects divorce rates. Anyways, thanks for watching guys, and see you later.